Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Spectrum Drama, where we take a look at the hottest posts on Spectrum for the week and give our opinions on them. So apologies that we weren't around last week. We had some life shenanigans that got in the way, but hopefully we will be back to normal again now up until the new year. Not 100% sure on the plans for Christmas. Maybe some special Christmas streams, maybe nothing at all. We'll have to kind of keep you posted on that. But we will have an awesome giveaway coming up for the new year. So yeah, stick with us and hopefully 2021 will be a little bit more prosperous than 2020. Fingers crossed. Okay, so first up we've got a post from Dorito Senpai, and it says MSI Fuel Scoops problem, or actually it says MSI Fuel Scoops problem because it's in caps. Important and serious thread. So basically, for those who don't know, the MSR has basically the same size hydrogen fuel scoops as a Carrack, but for some reason, where the Carrack has a fuel intake rate of 2,200 litres per second, the MSR has 100 litres per second. So it seems, you know, a little bit unbalanced. I mean, there might be some inner workings there that would make the MSR a bit smaller, but that does seem drastically smaller. And I'm not an engineer and I don't 100% have a grasp on this the whole fuel situation at the moment, but that does look like a massive oversight. Do you think that's broken at the moment and they'll fix that, or do you think that's their plan for the MSR?
I think that's kind of broken. I recently said in Star Citizen Live, I think it was, that the fuel usage was as intended, but what they are doing is increasing the fuel tank capacity from 3.12 for the MSR. So you have twice the fuel, but it'll burn through it at exactly the same rate, which still doesn't look good because the fuel costs are going up. Yeah, it's going to get expensive. But when you see these problems with the fuel, if this information is correct, which we think it is, the fuel intake rate is just far below what it should be. It's even less than an Aquila, which I think the Connie is kind of around the same size-ish. But the MSR is meant to have the better fuel scoops. Yeah, as you can see, that if this information is right, it's just not working as it should do. Or if it is, then I don't know. What have CIG done there? Why have they done that?
Yeah, have they managed to kind of get that?
Yeah.
What appears to be so wrong. I mean, you look at the Nomad, for example, which has two size 1 scoops, and they can scoop up 32 litres per second. So you would assume that two size 5s should, in theory, at least be 5 times as much as the Nomad, which, you know, would put it up into the nearly 200s mark. You know what I mean? As a bare minimum. And so, yeah, it just seems... It's got to be an oversight, it's got to be a problem rather than a decision made by CIG, because it genuinely, logically doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And if you look at the wings on the MSR, I think the scoops are kind of at the front. They're quite big as well, which would line up with the two size 5 scoops that it's meant to have. But yeah, if they're so big, then why are they so inefficient?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's right here actually, because he does say at the bottom of the post, it needs one more decimal. I think it's a typing mistake, and I think that's probably right. Maybe because bear in mind that this is all coded, so it's not like, you know, they decide this and then they just write it down by hand. I mean, this is put into some massive database somewhere, and maybe it's supposed to be 1,000, and they've somehow got it 100 by mistake. But yeah, I mean, either way, it definitely needs to be fixed, because that makes no sense, especially for a brand new ship like the MSR with, like you said, with pretty large scoops. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It just goes on to the problem we've had with all new ships for the last 6 months or so, where they just... When they implement the ships into the PU, it just does... They seem to mess something up with the fuel usage, or or the intakes or whatever it is. But every time a new ship's released, there's a problem with the fuel consumption. Every time.
Yeah, 100%. And that actually brings us very neatly, well done, onto our next post, which is from Zovia. And it says actual fuel costs for each ship to operate in 3.11. And this highlights exactly what Kryko was just saying. So we basically got here a cost of flying your ship. So if you look at the post, it's very interesting. And basically what she has done is flown 50 different ships, exactly the same flight. I'm not going to read through all the details because it's quite nerdy, but essentially they've done the same journey, and they've worked out the average fuel costs for each ship, and you can see very, very clearly the 3 newest ships, exactly what Kryko was saying, with Argo Mole, the Mercury Star Runner and the Nomad, are vastly broken when it comes to their fuel economy, compared to like the older ships, which obviously don't seem to have this new bug, we'll call it, for their fuel. So it's very interesting.
I'm even tempted to say that this goes beyond the last 6 months. I vaguely remember something about the 890 jump. When that first released, it had a fuel problem and people were freaking out at the cost of fuel to run that ship.
Yeah.
And that was like a year ago now. So this might be an even longer embedded problem. But I'm just kind of curious why CIG hasn't picked up on this or fixed this kind of initial problem that they have with fuel consumption.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, for example, we've got the Mercury Star Runner, and then you've got the Caterpillar, for example, which is a much bigger ship, and so the Caterpillar fuel costs in AUEC. So the fuel costs for takeoff and landing on microtech, no afterburners, no excessive maneuvers, or all that kind of stuff. So you've got a figure of 804. As opposed to the Mercury Star Runner, which is 933. And you think, how is that possible? You would have thought the Drake Caterpillar would cost more just to take off.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very odd. And it's definitely, like you said, it's a longer problem than I think we all think. Because I do 100% remember that 600i having problems. Everyone was in uproar. They fixed it, but why would they then 890, sorry, not 600, the 890, and then why would they then repeat those same mistakes for 3 more ships? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It just kind of baffles me how they haven't sorted this out yet. But then I suppose that goes on to a longer line of issues that just never seem to go away, like canopies opening randomly and ships falling through landing pads. Yeah, and I mean, it's still the fact that you can fall through the back of a ship if you walk onto the door, stuff like that. It's silly things which should be fixed and aren't, and you do have to question how much weight do they put on these bugs. We put everything on them, because they really affect the way we play the game. But for CIG, it's not a priority because it's not affecting their testing. No, that is true. Yeah, it's not like completely game breaking, and probably fairly low on their priority list to wash this. You would have thought they would have addressed it after a year now. Yeah, they should have done something by now.
And speaking of weird and wonderful problems that CIG are causing for us, it brings us on to the next post, which is by Stephen B, and it says, please roll back the changes to claim times until bugs/server disconnects no longer cause a ship to be lost. And so for those of you who aren't aware, basically CIG have decided in all their wisdom to change the claim timers for ships. So if your ship's blown up or it was lost in some way and you need to claim it, not only is it going to now cost you a fortune, but it's also going to take forever. It's unbelievable. So to give you an idea, just for a couple of ships of mine that I own, and I'm used to. I always expedite as well, so you know that's gonna become a real problem for me. So, for example, the Cutlass Red, which would normally take 15 minutes if you just leave it to claim, now takes 31.5 minutes. And if you expedite it, it used to take 3 minutes. Now it's going to take nearly 7 minutes, and the cost goes from 640 expedited to 4,725 AUEC, which, as we all know, I barely have that much. So this is going to become a real problem. I'm going to have to start actually working in this game.
Yeah. There's a lot of us in this category now. The MSR's been hit quite badly. It was originally like a 20-minute insurance timer. Now it's at like 48-minute. I don't have like an hour to sit around waiting for the MSR to go through an insurance claim.
No.
If you've got multiple ships, this isn't too much of a massive issue, because you can literally just pull another ship while another one is on insurance claim. But if you've got limited ships, 1 or 2, and you've upgraded them past like a Nomad or a Titan, you're going to have some problems now.
Yeah. I mean, you were just saying about the Star Runner going from 20 minutes to nearly 50 minutes. That's unacceptable, really, in a game that we've paid for. I understand they want to try and limit the amount of people who are going to take their ships into things they're not supposed to do, or do things that you wouldn't logically do if your ship blowing up was a real issue. You know what I mean? So It kind of stops that gung-ho kind of attitude that people have. But it also punishes people who, I don't know, something terrible happens, you can't be helped. You think, right, well, I've got insurance, so I'll just go back and I'll pay the money and, away I go. And yet you're still stuck with... Imagine if you got one ship as well. You just went, I'm all in for the Star Runner.
Yeah.
You can't play the game for nearly an hour.
For an hour, yeah. You literally have to just log off.
Madness. I mean, I do understand it, and I think that in a year or two's time, when this game is a year or two older, I'm not even going to say close to release, that would be a lie. I think that this would make sense. It would make sense because by that point, I think that we'll all be a lot more comfortable, a lot more stable. There'll be a lot more things to do, so you won't just be flying around blowing stuff up all the time. That's not going to be everyone's chosen profession, so people will be out just doing the things they do in the universe, and this won't be as much of a problem because people won't blow up as much. And obviously we're not even talking about bugs and crashes yet, but that is the main concern, is you lose your ship to a bug and then have to wait an hour to get it back, or pay them $1 billion AUEC.
Yeah.
Fuck off. No is the answer.
No is the answer, yeah. File the insurance claim and then log off and go play something else.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God Cyberpunk's out.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the principle of why they want to do this. I'm with it completely. It gives you that sense of, oh shit, I don't want to lose my ship. But to have that at this stage of the game where we're meant to be testing things is really not the best solution. Say a new ship comes out that's as big as a Carrack, for example, and you want to test it. So you start testing it. Oh shit, you crashed into an asteroid. And then you've got... How long have you got to wait for that? Have a look.
1 hour.
Carrack. An hour and... No.
No, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes.
2 hours before you can pull another one. And that's assuming you... And you think, I'm not going to wait for that. I'm going to expedite it. Okay, you expedite it. That costs you 22,000 credits. And you still have to wait half an hour.
Yeah.
It makes testing a complete and utter nightmare. Especially when, for example, these new ships get released on Evo builds or the PTU, when we're actually testing the thing.
Yeah.
But you can only test it once per day. It's kind of crazy, really. like I say, I agree with the principle behind the change and where they want to go with it. I just don't think now's the best time for this.
100%. I think that is the takeaway from this post is, yes, 100%. We are all in agreement, I think, that this is the way the game needs to head, to solve those issues, like you said, of putting some actual danger in losing your ship. But yes, not now, because it's just too buggy and too dangerous to have to wait 2.5 hours for a ship. I actually can't believe that is a number that they're even considering. 2.5 hours. That is mad. That's EVE territory. Like, an EVE player probably wouldn't think twice about waiting 2.5 hours for a ship, because they can sometimes wait 2.5 hours for a bank transfer to go through. I don't know what. It's very nerdy. But you know what I mean. So it's like it does make sense, but just give us another year, CIG, please.
So yeah, I'm looking at these costs, and the old expedite fee for the Carrack was 2,000 credits. Now it's 22,000. Like, what? Yeah, my brain can't.
How have they worked it out? How have they worked it out? It doesn't make sense. I mean, because I can understand maybe doubling it. I could even understand maybe tripling it.
Yeah, but not 10 times or 11 times.
Yeah, they have used some ridiculous calculation to get these figures. Let's look. So the Star Runner, the expedite fee has gone up almost 7 times. And you think, why? What's the logic? That's what I'd like to know. CIG, if you're going to keep this, at least explain the logic behind it so we understand what you're trying to achieve with this, so people aren't so pissed off. Okay, so next up we've got a post from Sada, one of those, and it says, so I just spent 7 hours doing criminal assassination missions for the mission giver Vaughn on the PTU. And essentially it's quite a long post, but the gist of this is that the assassination and criminal missions are pretty much bugged to hell. There's a lot of issues with them, not least of which is the fact that they're spawning in ships which don't have any AI on them, so there's no one to kill, which means it's an instant fail for the mission. Missions spawning in asteroids so that you can't complete them, that kind of stuff. So it's a very long-winded way to spend your time trying to do missions, and constantly failing. Have you done any of these criminal missions? I mean, we're not criminals, but there's not much else to do in the game. So have you had a crack at these?
Admittedly, I haven't, although I have experienced some of these bugs before. I think me and Silver were doing some ECN missions or something around Hurston, and we had a couple where they were spawning inside asteroids.
Right.
Which, that's kind of a problem. You just have to abandon the mission and go do something else.
Yes. It's annoying as well, because you think to yourself, all right, fair enough. I mean, not all these missions are going to be perfect, and there are going to be bugs. But it's the fact that they have very consistent bugs, and they seem to follow through quite a lot of missions. And we're falling into that same question, which is, where is the line? Where do we draw the line when a bug has to be fixed? Because it definitely isn't, oh no, 75% of our players are really frustrated because they can't finish these missions. They don't care about that bit. I think they only care is when it gets to the point where not enough people are actually trying it and they're not getting the data that they need. And we are going to get to that point eventually if all these missions constantly bug out. We're just going to go... it's why I don't really go on and just do missions, because most of the time I'm bugged. Like, I do a simple one, like I want to go and find a bunch of bodies and 2 of the bodies aren't there.
Yeah.
And you just think, well, fuck you then. Why am I here? I could be playing something else with a purpose. So they need to get these problems fixed if they want to keep people engaged and testing, and it just seems weird that they just leave these things to rot.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. It is a bit weird that they leave them to rot. On the other hand, these like you say, that these aren't going to be real priority bugs for them to squash.
No.
People will still go on and do other stuff.
Yeah.
Do they really need to start chucking resources at fixing missions when they're probably working on new missions and new systems for the missions? Do they really want to spend development time fixing something that might get kind of fixed, not directly but indirectly, by them changing the system in the next patch, whatever? Yeah, very frustrating. It's good that someone's actually kind of put the time in to go and try all of these and found all the issues.
Yeah.
And he has actually put them on the issue council, which is good. He's done the right thing.
Yeah. That's the important thing as well, is that, you know, a lot of people come on to Spectrum and they go, I've found a bug and it's very annoying, and then they just go about their business. And CIG aren't looking at Spectrum for your problems. They're looking at the issue council. So yeah, if you have a problem like this, or you find a new bug, make sure that you let CIG know in the proper way so that they can fix it. But there is actually a response here from a dev. So L Presley has come back and said, thanks for this feedback, Sada. We have acted on this today and fixed or improved best we can the issues you have raised. However, these fixes will likely come in the first patch after we go live, which we hope will be very soon after release. So it's good that at least, like I've said, you know, it isn't falling into a black hole. At least they are paying attention, and probably because, like I said, he's put it in the issue council, and so they can't really ignore it.
Yeah. I guess the only question that comes out of this is when this patch is actually going to go live. CIG have a bad reputation for dropping a big patch just before Christmas holidays and then running off and ignoring what's going on. So
Yeah.
hopefully this 3.12 doesn't go live until probably after the new year, I would say. I would hope.
Yeah.
Although going by their track record, they'll drop it just before Christmas Day, and then we'll be stuck in a bug-filled cesspit for a few weeks until they come back.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of their go-to move, and they've done it pretty much religiously every year. And you know, I think that's our biggest hope. All we want for Christmas this year, CIG, is that you release the patch after Christmas when you're all there, so that you can't just go, let's get inside your Christmas turtle shell and and ignore everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems being reported on the PTU at the moment with desync and 30Ks and all sorts of other issues, which they really do need to iron out before this thing hits the PU.
Yeah.
Hopefully they've learnt a few lessons from past years and leave it in the oven over Christmas.
Cool. So last up, we've got a post from Storm Eagle, and it says, I present you INS Jericho. Thanks to the fantastic legwork from DSC Murphy and a pinch of fixing, he stumbled across INS Jericho. So basically there's a station floating around which you can find. So you said it best earlier. It is exploration tier 0.
yeah. Random location that occasionally pops up as some kind of beacon, which you can then travel to. And yeah, there's a station there. Seems to be a UEE based station. You can land. There are NPCs in there. I don't think they actually do anything, but you can walk around a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess in-game kind of lore or whatever, this is where the UEE Navy and the Idrises will kind of call home, I guess.
Yeah.
Some people have mapped where this is in relation to other landmarks. So if you want to try and kind of blind luck your way to where it is, then yeah, there's some distances there for your reference. But best bet is to wait for the beacon to come up. Yeah, go and have a look if you want to.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it's nice to see something. Basically, it's just nice to see something because we're so used to this game, and it's so ingrained where everything is and everything looks as it should. Nothing changes really, and so it's always nice when you've got something new that you can look at. I mean, that's what I think made a few weeks or even a month ago exciting was the fact that going to try and find Benny Henge and the little scavenger hunts that they did kind of added a little excitement to the game, which it was lacking. So stuff like this, I don't know why they don't put like 10 or 15 or 20 of these random stations into deep space somewhere and just let people look for them, just to give them the same buzz again, but it's not this just one random thing. I'm going negative on a good thing. Sorry, it's good and I like it.
What would be good, like you say, is have like a bunch of these random locations. I mean, they don't even have to be fixed, really. If they want Tier 0 exploration gameplay, they could like despawn after a few hours and then pop up somewhere else. So that people actually have to keep looking for them rather than knowing where they are all the time. That would be good. You could fill them with some FPS NPCs, put a terminal in there, which when you press the button gives you some credits as a reward. There's a bunch of small things that they could do for this kind of Tier 0 exploration type gameplay. The biggest problem is actually finding it, because we don't really have any kind of long range scan gameplay to actually pinpoint where it is. Like I said earlier, you basically have to wait for a beacon to pop up for it, which doesn't really constitute exploration. Just point yourself at the beacon and jump to it. It's not exactly exciting exploration, I mean, what I'd like to see is maybe like 10 or 15 or 20 of these dotted around that are maybe they move, or I mean, obviously they can despawn them, respawn them somewhere else. They don't actually have to move, but maybe they stay in place for like a day or 2 or 3, and then what you might get then is the chatter. So like one person finds it, and then in game, they might communicate to someone else. Oh my god, I found this station, and you know what I mean. And it will kind of like bring people into parts of space where you would never be, and then it moves on, and it kind of I think it could be a really easy way to do Tier 0 exploration. I don't get why they wouldn't. I'd love to know the ins and outs of why they haven't done this yet. That would be really interesting to know. So if anyone can present us in the comments with a viable reason why this hasn't been done yet, I'd be interested to know, because it does seem like a pretty straightforward way to kind of get everyone moving around. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That is all the posts for this week. We hope you liked them. We hope you found them informative or amusing. And if you did like them, don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe for more Star Citizen content. Hit that bell so that you can be notified of any of the videos that we post. And don't forget, definitely hit that bell if you are up for winning a ship. In the new year, we will definitely have a new giveaway coming. So definitely subscribe, hit that bell. And drop your thoughts in the comments section. What did you think of these posts? Did you have any triggered moments where you just want to go in and frantically type? Let us know, because it's always fun to know. But that is pretty much it. So apologies that we haven't been about for the past week, but we should be back to normal now. So keep your eyes peeled for more videos in the future, and if you can catch us on one of our streams in the week, that would be wonderful. But that is it. So thanks very much everyone for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye.